think people saw that loud and clear.
Here I am like an idiot. Here I am like an idiot.
I felt really good almost after taking it. I had a beat off.
Here I am like an idiot. They don't like the gas.
Check to this thing. Yes, I fixed it. That's what it was. Haha. I was worried about overlap in audio. Is it, how about now? There we go. So, just so you know, I have been running an experiment audio-wise for quite some time with this beacon setup, which was this guy and this guy. And if you'll notice their total lack of connection to the actual computer right now, that's because the software that is proprietary to them, and you cannot run the individual pieces of hardware without, specifically the microphone. I give a rat fuck if the dial thing doesn't work. I can always route things through there. If the microphone stops, like if you can't work it without their own software and you can't route things without their software, if their software has a problem, whole thing crashes. So there were a bunch of times where audio-wise, I was not able to get any, well, I'll show you. I was not able to get anything off the ground. And so now I have switched over entirely to something that's a lot less complicated. I'll show you right now. It looks like this. I'm of course kidding. There's a lot going on. But I've moved over to voice meter. There you go. Hi, chat. There you go. There's a lovely sun, background. So I moved on from that setup because it was hell, and now it's there you go. Did you see the Times Radio UK interview with Chuck Todd? No, I did not. But is that a clip we should do? I feel like we should start asking the Patreon folks what to provide clips as well, stuff you'd like to see me take down. Maybe that's not even in the regular circulation of news, because I don't want to give CSL another job that he has to do hunting down stuff. But if there was something, that you're like, hey, did you ever see this video? Could you go over it? That could be a good thing for you to go into. I'd love to see your take on that. That would be a cool thing. Yes? Maybe? Possibly? Yes. Yeah, voice meter. I'll have to give some lessons, Carl. I managed to get it set up pretty well, pretty fast, I will say. And audio sounds okay right now. New York Times poll of swing states, talk me down how? Oh, it's garbage, Frank. Don't worry about it. The New York Times is in the horse race business right now, and they have a real problem with Joe Biden. So, honestly, don't even like put that out of your mind. Again, Romney was beating Obama at this point. So there we go. Madison was awesome, by the way. Thank you, chat room, for asking. The Madison show was fantastic. It was just lovely and raucous and a great crowd, and it was crazy go nuts. So a good time was had by all. Lovely conversations afterwards. Thanks, Hal, because it's scary. It's supposed to be. I got to tell you, I'm of two minds about this, because I've had this conversation. You know, we talked about it a little bit on Saturday, but we certainly, it's been going on in my head. Is that on the one hand, the New York Times is no friend of Biden right now and hasn't been for a while, and the people running the Gray Lady are trying to pull what was effectively what CNN did. Trying to grab some of the disenchanted. They were trying to basically divide and conquer Fox at one point. So if you're not going to go to Newsmax, OAN, RSBN, and all those during the hit, then you would go the other direction. Maybe you're just sick of, you're tired of Fox's bullshit, but not in the same way that your Newsmax maggot friends are. And so maybe if CNN would court you by being a little more conservative, or allowing for a little more conservative voice, then you'll go there instead, and that'll become your regular viewing spot, whether they like it or not. And ultimately, you could, in terms of Fox News, you could starve the beast. That seems to be, at some point that was part of the ploy, clearly. The same thing I think would apply to New York Times. That they think that they're going to pull, and never mind, whatever behind the scenes investor class bullshit they have going on. In all seriousness, I think they also know they benefit from a level of horse race. That if it's more of a horse race, oh, thanks. That was really cool. By the way, the Sparklers Zoom happened during the Madison show, so I was able to jump on and say hi to everybody. That was really lovely of Connie to get me in there. So the New York Times, it will make more money and will sell more papers and will get more eyeballs if people are like, oh, fuck, right? Than if they're like, it's going to be fine. And sorry, but news is news is news. And I'm going to tell you the truth about how this is going to go. I don't need you to watch this show out of a panic, if that helps. I don't need, I don't need that. I don't want worry and inconsistency to be my business model. That would suck. It's certainly antithetical to comedy. It's absolutely backwards in terms of actual news. So, yeah. So that's just to be clear. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to try to bring up a couple of stories, by the way. Quit it. I hate when I get asked by a login screens to log in under your credentials at every site. Get it over yourself. I'll do it at some point. But yeah, how are you guys? I think that's the important thing. Tara Dublin Rocks will be with us in the second hour to talk a bit about the Cohen thing. Yes, Paul Manafort dropped out of assisting directly the RNC. He'll be loitering around consulting, but he was working for free anyways, so I don't know what the fuck that was ever supposed to be. So, and I think one of the biggest stories, and I'll see if it obviously, there's a dual story going on, and I'll see if I can find the direct, let's see, Trump, billion oil, right, that should do it. There we go. So this is, if I may, one of the, I hate this fucking label at the top of this. There you go. This business. Trump asking the top oil execs for $1 billion in campaign cash in exchange for environmental policy rollbacks. Never mind the fact that he's just openly selling influence, period. But here's the thing that is crucial about that. Yes, chat room. Yes, it's awful. Yes, all those things. But it puts the lie to one particular area. And let me see if I can look at. Let's see. Oil prices. Yeah. So oil is, let's see, up slightly. Let's go to the week. Yeah, it's about basically the same. I want to find the full spectrum. You know how Trump keeps saying, go back up here. There you go. Oil price charge, no part of it, but go away. Yeah. So the news of that came out, and oil prices have basically don't allow, go away. Remained relatively steady. They're up today a little bit, like half a, like one Brent WTI is 51 cents, something like that. Hold on, I'll show you. So point being, Trump keeps saying that the stock market is going up because they think he's going to get elected. Now, if the stock market believed he was going to get elected and it would help these industries just in general, 100,000 people at the rally, not true? Oh, yeah, obviously. Not 80, not 10. And it was a lot of drift. There was a lot of people who were at the Jersey Shore who came down and watched part of it and left because they're like, oh, fuck, it's free. And they walked in and it was just dumb. We'll look at that in a second. And Roger Stone showing a picture of a Rod Stewart concert is peak MAGA. But if you look right here, this is from April 15th to May 13th. This is WTI crude. So if Trump was making promises to oil companies that when he gets elected, he's going to turn on the spigot and drill, baby, drill, and all that kind of shit, right? That was what he was telling everybody. And that he was telling these investors, and that these investors were like, oh, fuck, next year we're going to be in the money. Then you would see the price of oil and oil futures specifically start to rise. Oil futures have not risen. As a matter of fact, they continue to drop. And there's a lot of pulse input by the Saudis and others to try and keep the price relatively stable. But the futures are still going down. They are looking at a glut next year of oil specifically because of China slowing down. Now, there may be something at one point where Trump starts making under the table promises to China where people are like, oh shit, he's going to take off a bunch of the tariffs and wink, wink, let a bunch of shit in. And therefore they're going to use more oil because they're going to need it. And therefore it will jump, the price of it will jump. But that's the only way he could take credit for that element of it. So, which means, again, he'd have to undermine national security to get it. Thanks, Ian. Yes, I'm wearing my Mumford Phys Ed shirt. And if you need to show me to show you how to get fingerprints using off a book of matches, never mind. It's some super glue and it's fun. Anyway, so it's up 0.42%, less than half a point today. That is not a situation where they're like, oh shit, he's going to buy his way in and, he's going to let the oil companies drill, baby, drill, and it's doing great. There's the Brent crude is the highest. That's the British 83.19 is 0.4 up. And then there's a bunch down. Look at the OPEC basket. Oops. The entire basket's 84.29 and it's down a tenth of a penny. But the Canadian crude index is down, almost a point and a quarter. I normally don't give a shit about these kind of things, on the day to day. But it's meaningful if they're telling this story that. And I forgot to show you this one too. Just saying. And by the way, Biden has bought up almost all of the advertising time this fall. It's just going to be all Biden ads everywhere. And I'm just telling you. The president's $192 million record stash, twice as big as Trump's. Total includes $26 million raised from glitzy New York event. Where, by the way, where businesses are leaving and no one's going to open a business again, but somehow big money donors are like, thank you for getting this fucking criminal out here. Yes, I would like to make a lot of money, but I would like to do it not being a fucking crook. Yeah. So pretty tight, but this is the point that, meanwhile, just saying, here's Biden just doing fundraisers, going around doing the thing that you have to do to compete in a modern election. And here's what Trump's doing. This is Trump's competing. Okay? I don't want to hear about, like, you know, Biden's going in front of Goldman Sachs and blah, blah, which he isn't. Right? He just goes and shows people, like, look, this is what's at stake. Your taxes are going to go up, but your country will still be here. And they're like, okay. And in this case, he's just literally trying to, I mean, I don't even know. Well, let's dive in. Trump made $1 billion fundraising pitch to oil executives. I think this was at that Mar-a-Lago thing when he first started to do this, but I think it spoke of something they were actually doing legitimately behind the scenes. Trump promises to dismantle Biden's environmental policies if reelected, because people who work at oil companies don't drink water. They don't breathe air. That's so funny. His campaign needs the funds due to lagging behind Biden in legal expenses. Former President Donald Trump recently hosted a high-stakes dinner at his Mar-a-Lago club where he boldly pitched to top oil executives, the Washington Post reports. Last month, he asked for $1 billion contribution to his re-election campaign, and in return, he pledged to dismantle President Joe Biden's environmental policies that have been a thorn in the side of the fossil fuel industry. Trump's forward approach came as reports suggested the size of his re-election campaign war chest lags behind his Democratic opponent. Oh, it lags. It does. There's lagging. Meanwhile, the former president, who is facing 88 criminal counts, indicted in 4 separate prosecutions, has been spending millions on legal fees of other people's money, let's be honest, and drawing on campaign funds to pay his lawyers. Yeah, there you go. $1 billion would dramatically exceed Biden's fundraising in March. The president's campaign said it had $192 million in the bank. Yes, $1 billion would exceed it, certainly. And if it all showed up at once, it would be I mean, talk about the end of Citizens United, motherfucker. Like, and again, how many of these like progressive Trump supporters, like Jimmy Dore, who are like who pretended to give a fuck about Citizens United this whole time? How many of those assholes are letting this slide by, just giving it a pass? Good Lord. I think this is a picture of the meeting. Yeah, somebody was carrying their phone around and took a shot of him walking around. He was just having a meeting at their offices. Comedy. So yeah, there we go. Let me go back to here, and I want one of those dark Brandon cups, but they ain't cheap. Yes, well, I mean they actually are, because it's a donation, and almost all that they're selling them at a loss because the money goes to pay, for food for volunteers and signs and all that shit, advertising. So let's have a billionaire barbecue. No. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I am not into blindly murdering people. I know. It seems difficult for some of you to grasp, but I'm not going to slaughter and consume any other human beings anytime soon. I just will not, especially not based on their economic status. Because if I was sitting amongst a bunch of like billionaires and they were like, you know what? I wonder what the poor taste like. Yeah, I'd say no to that too. Wouldn't it seem? Anyways, all right. So the other thing is, of course, is Trump walking into his thing. Now I am setting up I set up a new, God help me, a new audio routing because of that thing, and I'm hoping, good Lord, there we go. This is 2 hours ago. Yeah, this is him walking in. Day 16. Okay, hold on. Shut up. Let's squeeze this down real quick. And hopefully did you guys hear that audio real quick? Did you guys hear that come through in the background? Was that all right? I'm going to pick again.
Anything he could say that could put you in
seems like it seems pretty loud, seems pretty vibrant. Yes? Excellent. Okay. So this is Trump coming out with his lawyer handler, which is very curious, I have to say, more and more so. And he does not look good, I will also say. Not looking ragged as fuck, considering he's coming in rested, allegedly.
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Okay, first of all, the weird crossfade, was that didn't cause that audio.
Could put you in jeopardy?
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Gratefully appreciate you being here. He's drunk.
Very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Great to be appreciated being here. What?
Greatly appreciate you being here.
Great to be appreciated being here. You think he's drugged? You think somebody's doping him?
Greatly appreciate you being here.
All right, I gotta find another video. That's fucked up. There's no way I'm gonna let that slide and have it be the only version we have of it, because I don't want that to be confused, that audio to be confused at all. When's this one? Okay, let's back up. I want a clean one, because holy shit. Oh, you know what I can do is I grab the live and I'll back him up. There we go. All right. So hopefully this is clearer. So because again, I don't want anybody telling me that like that was because of a visual flub. They were transitioning between mics and cameras. He didn't say that.
Mr. Trump, could he have with you today?
Is there anything he could say that could put you in jeopardy?
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Okay, that was it. All right, that's fine. Did my fan go off? It did, didn't it? Hold on. Howie, what are you doing? Okay, middle zone. There we go. Great to be appreciated being here. Okay. Yeah, somebody was saying, "Does this put you in jeopardy?" I mean, they're just, I don't know. They're trying to trigger him to say something.
Well, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being.
Hold on. Louder. Also, bring this up.
Here, the New York Times just came out with a poll. It shows us leading everywhere by a lot. This is the cover story, and I think you'll find it very interesting, but I'm sure you've all read it.
No, we have not. Hold on. I'm trying one more version because that it's too quiet, and I don't want to be accused later of someone saying, you just use that piece where he just sounds wrong just to make him sound bad, you mean person. Okay. Fucking hell. Where is he? Trying to rope. These are other people outside. I'll find it, don't worry. Oh, here he is. Okay, this should be sufficiently loud.
Mr. Michael today?
Mr. Trump, could he have with you today?
Is there anything he could say that could put you in jeopardy?
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Okay, yeah, that was it. All right, it's great to be appreciate you being here, to being here. Shit, dude.
So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here.
Great to be appreciate you being here. That's the best I could do.
The New York Times just came out with a poll.
Excuse me, the fake New York Times.
It shows us leading everywhere by a lot.
Yes, which means it's now telling the truth, whereas before it was lying and shitsy pants. We don't like the New York Times until.
This is the cover story, and I think you'll find it very interesting, but I'm sure you've all read it. Leading in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona.
Maybe get some glasses. It's okay. You're in your 70s. It's all right. Nothing wrong with that. Oh my God, Eric, J.D. Vance, and Tommy Tuberville, and Boris is still there too. And then Alina's way in the back. She's being pushed back, and I guess Tommy's like videoing for friends.
Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada. Nevada, we're leading.
Nevada. He just corrected himself because, never mind.
Actually, by
They could blow it up. They could print it larger, maybe.
12 points.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're totally leading Nevada by 12 points. Absolutely.
Which is generally a Democrat state.
Yeah, you're totally going to sweep it with 12 points. I would rest on that. I wouldn't even do a campaign here. You got it locked. Fuck it.
I think we're probably leading in New Jersey. We had a rally, over 100,000 people this week.
No, you did not.
And a lot of the mainstream
No, you don't get credit for everybody at the Jersey Shore.
media didn't want to say how many people they didn't want to cover. But in fact, I don't think anybody did. I hear the crowd was not shown by the mainstream media, which is what they tell me. But
Is that what they tell you? Who told you that? The mainstream media or?
that's par for the course. A couple of quotes that just came out.
Yeah, these are brand new quotes. Nothing like the shit you've heard before.
Fareed Zakaria, no friend of mine. The Trump trial is politically motivated. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump. Mark Levin.
Yeah, Fareed, I don't know what context he's putting that in, but go right ahead.
Great guy, brilliant man.
He is brilliant. He's a little nervous, a little weird.
Our judicial system has blown up. It's broken.
Yeah, legally, easy with the legal mumbo jumbo though.
Andrew McCarthy.
He's never mentioned him before, has he?
Should be acquitted in Manhattan, wholly independent of the plethora of constitutional infirmities in the prosecution. It should be thrown out for the most basic of reasons. Bragg cannot prove his case. Got no evidence. And
Well, you do realize that's actually what's happening, right? That's what a trial is. They're showing the evidence. Like, Michael Cohen hadn't even testified. He starts today. He is testifying as we speak. And the Stormy stuff was about setting the context of the motive for the crime itself, not the actual crime. Again, that happens in all cases like this. Like, if you had a murder case and you brought in a bunch of people first, you're like, you've got a dead person, you've got someone you're telling the jury is guilty of this, and you're going to make your case. And the first part of the case is going to be like, this guy hated his wife. He told everybody if he could kill her and get away with it, he would. He said it to you. Yes, he did. He said it to you. Yes, he did. I overheard it. Objection, hearsay. Okay, fine. We'll strike that. Well, did he say it to you directly? Yes, he did. As a matter of fact, I have a recording of him saying it. Can you play that for the court? Absolutely.
I'm innocent. This is a political witch hunt, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. And it's,
Yeah, that's because we've never had a president try before.
I tell you what, the appellate division and the judges should step in, because what this judge is getting away with is disgraceful.
You can't do an appeal until it's over, dumb fuck. It's so weird.
Including the fact that we have thousands of people, we have 100,000 people in New Jersey.
So what?
They would like to show their support. It's like an armed camp outside.
You can't get 100,000 people to storm the court building and free you? The fuck out of here. They're never gonna let 100,000 people loiter in front of the courthouse for any trial, you shithead.
You can't get one person within.
No, you got a couple of people. You're just disappointed who they are. They're the cuckoos wearing, dresses made out of Trump flags.
3 blocks of this courthouse. Greg Jarrett, we're not You take.
Does he just want to have a rally 3 blocks from the courthouse? Is that his goal? Is he going to try like his own January 6th? Is he going to have like, are we going to look at June 6th now? Is that what he's trying to do? Like, I'm going to hold a rally just outside the security perimeter and then go, you walk down to that courthouse peacefully and patriotically. But if you don't get rid of that judge, you're not going to have a country left. We're like, he's this close.
Look at this statement. We're entering the 4th week, and there's still no evidence whatsoever connecting Trump with any criminal wrongdoing. A crime that's not charged. It's a crime that in which prosecutors won't even tell the defendant what it is.
Just watching him like a hawk. He looks like Sam the Eagle, like, you are all weirdos. Yeah.
I have no idea what they've been doing.
Sorry, what was that again?
Prosecutors won't even tell the defendant what it is. I have no idea what they've been doing.
You have no idea what they're even doing. Maybe ask your attorney. I don't know.
We have records, and they talk about bookkeeping. The only thing down in the bookkeeping is that we call a legal expense a legal expense.
Okay, a payoff is not a legal expense. Again, if you pay your lawyer to pick up drugs for you because you think that the attorney-client privilege will cover the fact that you are using drugs or buying drugs or selling drugs and all this kind of shit, and your attorney goes and does it, and you write down the cost of the drugs as a legal expense to keep it hidden, that does not make buying drugs legal. Shut the fuck up. Like, this is so on the nose.
We don't call it a construction expense. We don't say for concrete work.
Why is it Eric going, that's me?
We don't say for
It's the same shit.
electrical work. We pay the lawyer a legal expense.
To do what? What was that legal expense? What are you expensing?
We have a legal expense.
Yeah, it's a legal expense. It's legal to pay someone to shut the fuck up. That's what he's saying.
It's a legal expense. It's marked down in the book, quote, legal expense.
Yes, we know. And paying off someone is not a legal expense. Using your lawyer as a conduit is not a legal expense. The money that went to Stormy Daniels is not a legal expense. Even if your lawyer paid it and you paid him back, it's not a legal expense. He didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. He was expecting you to pay him back. He was furthering it. And even if he did and you paid him back, you still paid back the money that he gave away, not money that he gets to keep. He doesn't get to keep that 130 because it's already fucking gone.
It's perfectly marked down.
It is perfect. This is the new version of the perfect phone call. It's perfectly marked down. Says no one who speak words, America, English words that fit in order of words.
The other side doesn't know how to handle it, but they say, let's indict him anyway, because that's what Biden... This all comes from Biden in the White House, by the way.
Well, apparently he's successful at a bunch of these. So what you're saying is Infrastructure, Inflation Reduction Act, rural broadband across the entire country, lowest unemployment in 60 years, and longest stretch of employment under 4% in 60 years. And the dollar is worth more than $1 right now, and more tariffs on China than you ever even brought up during your presidency, for the record. And he's still got time to fuck you up? Weird. I mean, say what you will, but Biden's kicking ass and taking names. I'm just saying.
And they have their top people here.
And they don't even need him. That's the funny part.
Because when he can't put two sentences together, he's the worst president in the history of our country. Can't speak.
He just gave a speech yesterday, by the way.
Can't walk off a helicopter.
Can't walk off a hell. I would not recommend, especially if it's not landed. I would remind people, just be careful. Don't walk off a helicopter. I mean, I guess you could, if you're like a Red Bull sponsored sports athlete, you could do something where you walk off a helicopter and other people catch you wearing, it'll be very exciting, I'm sure. You can't walk off a helicopter. What do they do? Carry him off?
Plane can't walk off a stage.
He's stuck. Is he stuck on a stage, a plane, or a helicopter right now? Honestly. At this point, by the way, I'm 100% in if, considering Roosevelt's state, if Biden was so old he couldn't fucking walk, but he was still able to make the decisions he's making, I would ask for a reinstatement of 4 muscle dudes to carry him around on a chair. I don't care. Apparently Biden, according to him, is stuck on a stage somewhere, unable to leave.
And the only way...
And meanwhile, this dumb motherfucker's in a petting zoo. And he can only get one family member to show up. By the way, can I say for the record, much has been made of the idea that, Don is there, or Don isn't there, and Ivanka's not there, but Eric is, and Melania is not there, blah, blah, blah. Why Eric is the one. Eric is the only other person in the civil trial who pled the fifth. Eric is there because Eric is in as much legal jeopardy as he is. He doesn't like or care about Eric, so he had Eric sign all the documents for all the crimey shit. And so Eric had to plead the fifth. Don and Ivanka did not have to plead the fifth because they didn't sign any of the documents. They didn't know about it. I mean, they loosely knew about it, but there was no way they could prove it. His name is all over the fucking documents. Eric's on the hook for this shit. That's why he's there.
They think they can win is if they can do something with Trump. Because we have an...
That sounds like a weird... The only thing they think they can way they can win is if they can do something with Trump.
Incompetent, the worst president in the history of the United States of America. Jonathan Turley, after Bragg...
So does Jonathan Turley just write the same article in different ways every day?
closes the prosecution's case, the defense will make a standard motion for dismissal.
Right. Dude, I said that. I'm not a legal scholar, although I am a very smart person. I'm just saying. Didn't I say that the other day? Everybody's like, we're absolutely going to move to dismiss. Everybody moves to dismiss. It's the first thing a fucking defense team does. Because if you can get it, you're done. You have a responsibility as a defense to file for, I mean, if you can't do a mistrial, you can ask for a mistrial or ask for it to be dismissed. And most of the time, you'll do both. They all do it. The fuck is wrong with you? And Turley's like, if anything, if there's anything that I learned during my many years in law school, it's that the defense very possibly will ask for the charges to be dismissed right as soon as they start their defense. And then when they hear no, they'll go, can we have a recess? I don't know what I'm going to say today. I was totally counting on that working. Why are you? Please? My eyes are bleeding. He's farting up a storm right here.
Merchant, who is...
Totally conflicted. He's the most conflicted. Nobody has a conflict like he's conflicted.
So corrupt.
Oh, he's corrupt now.
And so conflicted.
Okay, why is he corrupt? Conflicted be one thing. Corrupt is another. What makes him corrupt, dummy?
Like no judge has ever been.
And I love how he has to. He can't say like no judge has ever been corrupt or conflicted before, but saying both of them is a little lame. So he's just got to kind of cut the sentence short. He's corrupt and conflicted like no one has ever been.
And the press doesn't want to write about it, but you know exactly what we're saying. Merchant should grant that motion for dismissal.
No, you're gonna. You pay good money for these defense counsel people. You should want them to be able to just bring those witnesses back there and slam them. Come on. We recall Stormy Daniels. We recall Michael Cohen. The president wants to testify. 3 sentences that won't be said in the defense's argument. I'm just saying.
There's been no showing of a crime.
There has been no showing of a crime. Grown man reading crib notes from articles from Jonathan Turley in front of a bunch of people right before he goes in to hear how his fixer paid off a porn star and a Playboy Playmate and the the publisher of the fucking National Enquirer to not only hide stories that were bad about him, possibly buy some up later. That's the other David Pecker story. Where is that safe full of stories, right? And then the other part would be, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I think that's all he's talking about today. Maybe tomorrow Michael Cohen is talking about other, yeah.
They failed to protect the rights of the defendant
By what? Charging him?
from a baseless, politically motivated prosecution. That's Jonathan Turley.
Yeah, and he's been against Trump from the very beginning. He was on your impeachment team, wasn't he? He testifies on your behalf all the time, no matter what the charges are. Do you get the feeling that Turley either thinks he's going to be on the classified documents case, which is going to be a big money trial, and wants to be part of that history? That's my guess. Or he thinks he's going to get a cabinet position out of this shit later. I mean, because that's the thing. Trump will have no problem whatsoever making Jonathan Turley the fucking AG.
All very talented legal experts.
I've never heard them sing, but I'll take your word for it.
But the big thing today seems to be the Times. I'm sure the Times is thrilled, but I respect them for at least letting it come out. And there it is. It's Trump leading by a lot in every state. Every swing state leading by a lot.
Yeah, you seem happy.
This trial is rigged. It's dishonest. It's a disgrace to New York. It's a disgrace to the country. I should be out campaigning now instead of sitting in a very cold courthouse.
Boo-hoo!
All day long. This is a Biden prosecution.
You committed the crimes. You just did them a long time ago, and you thought you'd outrun them because of the statute of limitations.
It's election interference at a level that nobody in this country has ever seen before. This is for third world countries.
No.
A ninth world country, not a third world country, a ninth world country.
Yeah, don't sell us short.
Not for the USA. Thank you very much.
Mr. Trump, who's with you in the courtroom today?
Why Hannibal Lecter? Do you plan to...
Why Hannibal Lecter? Why'd you bring up Hannibal Lecter? They're talking about his New Jersey rally, which, by the way, had a drift crowd of the entire shore. That's why he wants 100. He wants credit for 100,000. It's like if Ted Nugent plays a state fair, and they've got a stage, and the stage area has about, I don't know, an area for about 3,000 people, but everybody at the state fair over the course of the weekend is about 30,000. So Ted Nugent can say he drew 30,000. And Trump's like, you can do that? And everybody around him is like, yeah, you can totally do that. And he's like, okay, well, that's why we'll do this down at the Jersey Shore. That was. And then the pictures of it were pretty pitiful, and nobody stayed for the whole fucking thing. And there were a lot of people, like the majority of the people at it were like walking over like, oh, Trump's speaking. This is hilarious. Fuck this. You want to go get an elephant ear? And they left. And so like a good 2/3 of the audience was a wash crowd of the locals coming in and out. He had a hot dog. And anyways, the point being is that he wants credit for everybody who went by. Like, is he still yammering? And like, he's like, that's a voter. That's what he was doing. Anyway, so during that, he had a bunch of flubs and verbal fails that we will get into later in the afternoon show. And Tara Dublin will be with us in just a minute. I will see if there is a... Let me grab something real quick. Meanwhile, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up. I forgot to say that this morning because I was so worried about all my shit working. And audio seems to be okay with everybody. Yes? Everyone? Yes? I hope so. Let's see. Go to... Yeah, there we go. It's all right? Excellent. Courthouse on Poop Corner. Hold on. There was a... Hold on. Let me try to find... This is pretty funny, I think. I just thought, as a follow-up, map shows where Kristi Noem is no longer welcome in own state. On Friday, Sioux tribe, the Yankton Sioux tribe voted to ban the Republican governor from their lands in southeastern South Dakota. The decision followed a similar one made by the Sisseton Wahpeton Oyate tribe only days before. Noem was already banned from the land of the following tribes over her comments: the Oglala, Rosebud, Cheyenne River, and Standing Rock Sioux. In March, he said during a forum, "We've got some tribal leaders that I believe are personally benefiting from the cartels being there. That's why they attack me every day. But I'm going to fight for the people who actually live in those situations, who call me and text me every day and say, 'Please, dear governor, please come help us in Pine Ridge. We are scared.'" And yeah, so these are the areas of the state. And by the way, can I just point out also, I wish we had I need to find a map that shows the native lands in Texas versus California, because there's a lot more native gaps in Texas, and as much as it's the biggest state by the outer geometry, if you remove the actual native territories, it's a lot fucking smaller than California. Just saying. Yeah, so these are the tribal lands. And she's not allowed to go to these places, which I'm sure she's all fucking torn up about it. Although I'm curious how how other members of her group are taking it. I think it's terrible. She should be welcome on all Indian land. That's why I wear turquoise everywhere around when I'm walking around. Wow! Oh, mate. I'm having Haven. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It's so weird. On X, Noem wrote, "We love animals, but tough decisions like this happen all the day on the farm, all the time on the farm. Sadly, we just had to put down 3 horses a few weeks ago that have been in our family for 25 years. Okay, 25-year-old horses are one thing. A 14-month-old puppy that you just don't want to bother to train is entirely a different thing. Shut the fuck up. And who's we? You take it, like apropos of nothing, walking this dog and this goat to a pit and then just gleefully killing them is wholly different than a family having to put down an animal that they care about. That's the other part. Part of the thing in her book was that she was like, I did it, I don't give a fuck. And that almost is like anybody who's had to put down a dog. And this Christmas, my dad's dog had to be put down, and we were all there with him, and we were all touching him as he finally went to sleep, and he was just a mess, and it was just heartbreaking. And like, that's emotionally how you deal with it. That's just the reality of it. She was just like, ugh, I'm sick of this fucking, shut up, blam. That's the part I think people are reacting to more than somebody putting down a pet. Who shoots a dog? Have you seen Old Yeller? Used to be the way. I agree, though. But here's the thing. That's the only way she was going to be able to do it. Unless she's got, I don't know, whatever the shit that she's got. Maybe they have a kit to give lethal injection to animals on their farm. It's possible. But the problem is, if she brought it to a vet and said, can we put this dog down? He's fucking annoying. They'd go, what the fuck's wrong with you? They'd place the dog with somebody else. I don't know. You're the fucking governor. It never occurred to you. Well, at that time, she wasn't the governor. Like, they're well-to-do ranch family. Well-to-do ranch family. You can't afford a fucking dog trainer? Good Lord. Yeah. So, real quick, let me check and make sure. Okay. Guest stuff seems set up for when Tara gets here. I'm all nervous about like the guest stuff. I want to nail it down because we've eventually, I know it's crazy, but eventually I would like us to be able to have like huge guests on the show. And to do that, I want to make sure the system is, I feel bad for our guests who are friends who come on sometimes because of the difficulties of doing it. I would not want to inflict that on the big names, as it were, and the one-offs, as opposed to our recurring folks who all know the struggle is real and deal with it themselves all the time. Yes. Doesn't matter if it was a pit bull or not. Agreed. It wasn't. Treats your animals like tools. Yes. Make animals go away. Ouch. Also, let me take a look at something. I want to see that New York Times poll real quick. Let's dive into that because I know people are like, let's see, Donald Trump leads President Biden in 5 battleground states. There we go. This is as young and non-white voters express discontent with Biden. This is our uncommitted. Is this what we're going with? Hold on one second. There you go. Trump leads in 5 key states as young and non-white voters express discontent with Biden. Yeah, they're tired of him helping Jews and Palestinians. They would rather him just mow through Gaza. Including one with Philadelphia Inquirer revealing erosion of support for the president among young and non-white voters upset about the economy and Gaza. Right. Obviously, again, this is a failure of the New York Times and others to report accurately what Trump is saying about Gaza, I think is the key part. And I love the overlap here. This is the margin of error. But this, and Wisconsin, this overlap is a big deal. This is, Biden's ahead in that one. And this is margin of error. Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Nevada are supposedly outside of this, which is, you'll see. Donald Trump leads President Biden in 5 crucial battleground states. A new set of polls shows a yearning for change, a discontent over the economy and the war. Okay, where's the poll? Okay. All right, here we go. How satisfied are you with the way things are going in your life these days? Net satisfied is 74%. 74% of these folks are satisfied with how their life is going. 22% not satisfied. In each of these states, Arizona 76%, 74 in Georgia, 72, 70, 75. 80% of people in Wisconsin say they're satisfied about how their life is going, somewhat or very, I guess. Not too satisfied and not at all satisfied on a much slower. By gender, women are more satisfied in the swing states than men are. Okay. Age, let's see. 18 to 29 was 81% are satisfied, whereas 65 plus 72% are satisfied. Not satisfied 17%, 26%. The highest net not satisfied are 45 to 64. These are the long working class. 23% of 74% of whites, 78% of black people are net satisfied about their lives, according to this poll. So there you go. These are the folks they're talking to. Thinking of the presidential general election, are you almost certain that you will vote? Very likely to vote, somewhat likely to vote, or not likely to vote. So this is the group they're also talking to. 49% almost certain. 31% very likely. Not likely 4%. Not at all likely. Already voted 0. Don't know. Refused to answer 2%. Number of respondents was 4,097. And let's see. Across the board, Wisconsin, again, highest satisfaction, where Biden is leading, highest number of actual voters. So if you saw this part about the crisscross of that graphic where Biden's ahead in Wisconsin, it's also the highest in terms of almost certain to vote, that idea. Men 51%, women 47%, almost certain to vote across all these states. White 56, black 35% in the almost certain to vote. Now, this is where the whole eroding the vote idea comes from. They're all 35. He's winning the group that's half the size of the white vote that's going to vote in these areas where and non-white Hispanic. Very likely 32-30. Also, I don't an Hispanic is that charted? Hold on, maybe you have to slide this over so you can see it. Yeah, give me 1 second. Is there any number in this? What the hell? Hold on. Control minus. Maybe shrink this down. There we go. Maybe not. Their chart sucks because it moves. Yeah. All right. Maybe not. Okay. Control plus. Back up here. They've got it inside one of those table things in there. And okay. If the 2024 election were held today, who would you vote for? Registered voters, 33% for Biden, 44% for, 40% Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy, 10%, Jill Stein, 1%, less than 0.5%, Cornel West, third party candidate, Lars Mapstead, 1%, another candidate, 1%, and they were supposed to specify, not going to vote, wouldn't vote if those were the choices, 4%. Okay. So, Biden's winning 49% of, here you go. 49% of the black vote, 31% of Hispanics, 33% of whites in these swing states. And Trump is winning 46% of whites, 14% of blacks, 31% of Hispanics. Okay, here we go. Occupation, neighborhood type, well-to-do city, suburb. There you go. So Trump is getting rural and small town, which again are sparse and don't tend to vote as well. Who they voted for? The people who are voting for Biden voted, 80% are voting for him, who are going to vote for him. 0% of those voted for Trump or other. Include third party. 100% are voting for Biden this time around. Head to head, includes third parties. 80% head-to-head vote for Biden, 0 to Trump. I don't know where the other ones go, but including the other third parties, Biden gets 100%. Same thing down, and Trump down here gets 82% of the Trump voters, and that's the 2% that they're talking about. Party ID: Democrat 76%, Republican 4%, Indy 27%. Trump allegedly gets 5% Democrat, 87% of Republicans, and 33% of independents in these states is what they're finding here. I'm gonna go there. In their 2020 vote, he got 86% of the Republicans, 31 and 4% of the same group. Biden got 74%, 2%, and 16% across these, and won them, which again is the volume of voters. That's the effect. Okay. And, Tara's in the background. There she is. I'm going to bring her in just 1 second. I see her in there. Let's see. I should be hearing you. Can you check for me? Can you check for me, Tara? Where would that be? Why? I guess maybe I have to put you in the thing and we'll get it over there. We'll find out. It should be in there. Copy this. Oh, maybe the playthrough thing on here is what's doing it. Audio. Let's see. Let me check one thing and then we'll bring you in. Okay. I think it just does it this way. It just wants to do it that way, and that's how we'll do it. All right, that's totally fine with me. Okay. I'm hoping there's no feedback on this. This is a test, so hopefully it will work out. There we go. Okay, and then we should, at some point, go out of this studio mode and Lee over here and go to guest number one. There she is. Now okay, let me turn this on, and I think, can you check for me?
Toast, sibilance.
Hey, there you go.
Hey.
And you don't hear yourself back, right? You're not getting an echo or anything, or are you?
An echo.
Great. Excellent.
Oh, and I hear you fine. Can you hear? Oh, wait, there's a little echo there now.
Okay. All right. I will remedy that as we go through. One moment. And
but you can hear me and see me, yes?
Yes, I can. So I will.
Okay.
I'll remedy the return back from. I know what it is. Okay. Got it. I'll fix it in one
Got
second.
it?
I had to. Totally gut my sound system on the show because, let's see, go to
Yes.
sound, yes, so that it would not, because I need it to work actually, but that's that.
Check,
And I
check
won't-
two, toast, sibilance. Nope, totally getting the echo.
Yeah, totally get it. You go to yes. I will put you on.
It's like hearing the voice in my head twice.
That's terrible. It's and yet
I
kind
know
of
it is.
hold on, there we go. I think this is hold on. Now, hopefully that will fix it. Do you hear yourself still?
Do I hear myself still? No.
Nope.
I'm hearing like a little bit of that when I'm done, but no, I'm not hearing my words.
Okay, good. Yeah, that should be
All right.
correct. And then everybody in the chat room can hear you just fine. I hope we will. We're good.
Let us
Testes,
know.
testes.
I
1,
hope so.
2, 3.
I'm getting a little bit of that garbledy, echoey sound.
All right. Well, hold on. I will solve it. Then we'll put
Kids,
it in.
this is how the sausage is made. Sorry.
It is.
You know,
It is.
behind the scenes, DIY kind of ethos that comes
That's
from
right.
the punk movement, and we're just doing it ourselves.
Yeah. Wait a
R.I.P.
minute.
Steve Albini, by the way, since we're talking about punk.
Right.
Man,
well,
can you believe Steve Albini at 61? God damn it. Oh, that's a lot of echo. Okay.
yes, I'm working on it. Don't worry.
All right.
Voice meeting.
Oh, wait. You know what? I'm going to walk out of the frame for 1 second.
That happens.
But I can still hear myself echoing, so that's fun. I had to bring in the book.
Oh yeah.
Can't
where
do
are
the show without the book nearby.
No, you can't. Okay, voice meeting. 5. Why would that be? I don't want that one. Is that? Hold on. I know what it is. Oh no, that's output. It's always tricky. Voice meeting 2. It should be this thing, but I don't know. Output should go to in 3. Why would that be like that? There's the other input. Am I just missing it? Is it not visible to me? Is it just being a jerk? I know what it'll do. Hold on 1 second. Maybe this will do it. I just have to turn off the monitor aspect of it, and maybe that'll fix it. It's always weird that way. Guess one. Let's see. Monitor
check two,
off.
Toast.
And that's one of those
sibilance.
things
hey,
where.
Hey.
Yeah. Check. Now everybody can hear you, but I can't. That's the
good.
fast part.
You can't hear me.
So we'll
That's
just have a
too
conversation
bad.
where nobody can actually hear anybody. It's great. And
I
then
can hear
while
you fine.
the very least you're not getting getting feedback while this is happening, so I
Right.
can remedy this shit.
I can hear you. I don't know sign language, but I can hear you excellently
Okay.
with no
so
feedback
I'm
and
gonna
hear
go back
myself.
to there.
This
1
is
second.
delightful.
Monitor only. There we go. And it's gonna do the same thing again, real quick.
Fucking hell.
Hopefully there. Now check 1.
Check two, toast, sibilance, echo. I'm getting echo.
Rats. Where do you go? Aux 1, failure 3, B2. Try this again, maybe here, and solved. Nice. Okay, cool. We're remedied. Thank you for being my guinea pig while I fix this shit. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks very much. I was wondering how many people would actually spot it. That's right. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Oh, hold on. Yeah.
So thought I'd wear it today because there's lots of karma happening. Because it's another Michael Cohen Monday.
It is. There we go.
I'm so excited. Mikey the C is going to bring the hammer because he knows where
Well,
all
you know-
the bodies are.
Yeah.
Buried.
I
He
find
knows
it.
it all.
I find it very ironic that Trump wanted his Roy Cohn and ended up with Michael Cohen. And,
Right?
you
Well,
know,
it's the E. It's that E for effort that was missing, I guess.
Yep.
I don't know.
I
But
suppose so.
I mean, we all remember how absolutely loyal Michael Cohen was in the early days, and we remember him going
it was
on
brutal.
TV
Says who?
and being
Says who? Says who?
and being that. I think I have cat hair on my lips. Anyway, um,
Always.
always. But he was voted Trump surrogate. He wasn't. So, and this, honestly, I'm not surprised. But anybody who is still loyal to Trump, who remains in the Trump universe, really only need look at the Michael Cohen story arc, and know that it will come for them at some point too. They will find themselves having to give testimony against Trump, or they will find themselves cut out of the Trump universe because they didn't do the exact thing he demanded, or they dared step out and protect themselves and their own families instead of putting Trump's needs ahead of their own. Eventually, and that's why Rick Wilson said everything Trump touches dies, because eventually every single person in Trump's orbit finds out in one way or another. And now Trump is finally finding out himself. And they all hate it. They all hate it so much, and their misery is my life's blood. Because the finding out part is our favorite part. It may have taken forever, but it's here now. And now we can bathe in it. Bathe in the joy of this Schadenfreude that we're getting every single day, except the days that he's not in court, when he goes out and lies about crowd size and loyalties and people who love him.
Right.
Please, I was listening to you while I was getting ready, and as someone who grew up on the Jersey Shore, I will tell you, when you're meandering along the Wildwood Boardwalk, you're going to be drawn to any crowd that's accumulating, whether you're aware of what it's for or not, right?
Yeah.
It's just a thing. You see a crowd as a natural human thing. What's this crowd for? Oh, and it's like you said, people maybe out of curiosity would have been like, oh, I want to hear what he sounds like. I want to see how dumb he sounds. I mean, like the loyalists were lined up early, but in no way were 100,000 people, not 10,000, maybe 5,000, maybe, but they didn't stay. They didn't stick around. I think the corn dog stand was shutting down at about the same time he was talking. So, there's just this mass exodus as he cannot stop talking about. And for me, the defining two moments of the speech at Wildwood while everyone was leaving en masse, the fact that he called Jimmy Carter Jimmy Connors.
Yes.
Y'all catch that? Called Jimmy Carter Jimmy Connors.
The tennis player?
Because Jimmy Carter and Jimmy Connors are exactly the same, and it would be very easy to confuse them. And then the fact that he was talking about Hannibal Lecter, but that he called the movie The Silence of the Lamb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does that a lot. Drives me fucking crazy. As a Gen Xer.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh.
We hate that. We hate when you get the title of a movie wrong, and we really hate it when you fuck up movie quotes. When you get the movie quotes wrong, we will jump you immediately. We will not allow any misquoting. So when he talks about the silence of the lamb, which one was it? There was more than one lamb. It was lambs, plural. And he said it more than one time.
Right.
So it's one thing for you to
like
make a mistake
poster.
one time.
It's for
it's
fuck's sake.
It's the name of the fucking movie.
Right.
The movie's not
You
called
will tell me
Hannibal Lecter.
when the lambs stop screaming. That's the
Have
line.
The lambs stopped screaming.
Yeah.
And then I'm having and then he was quoting how, I loved it. I'm having an old friend for dinner. I love that. So does Donald Trump want to eat Hillary Clinton? Is this what we're supposed to derive from this? What are we supposed to take from Donald Trump openly supporting a fictional cannibalistic serial killer with admiration and referring to Hannibal Lecter as both late and great?
Mm-hmm.
What? So are you referring to the character? Are you referring to Sir Anthony Hopkins and his amazing Oscar-winning performance? Because Anthony Hopkins is still alive.
Yeah.
So.
Well, also, he says that poor doctor.
Dying in the first movie.
He sees that doctor and he's going to do something, whatever. Like, it was Chilton. Chilton was the entire idea was that Chilton was a sadist and maltreated people that were in his care and brought this weird come on to Clarice when she was in his office, and when she rebuffed him he was gross to her. Fuck him.
Oh, you're so gross.
It was supposed.
But so you're
right.
fine with that ending, which is why we're
Yeah.
all fine with that ending, right?
But
And
he
it's
was
a
saying this,
spectacular
that
ending.
he's like that poor doctor or whatever. Like, it's not even, by the way, it's not that the guy deserved it. Nobody deserves to be murdered and eaten just for being a prick in that regard. And he should go to jail or whatever if he's being torturous to the people there. That's how our system works. And that's how elected officials used to think of
Right.
these things, like fucking grown-ups. But he doesn't even get the moral of that argument. He's this close to, like, walking out buck naked in a female skin suit going, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Like, Trump is that close to going, Buffalo Bills. Have you heard of him? Buffalo Bills. They called him Buffalo Bills. Like, he'll pluralize Buffalo Bill. You know it. You know he fucking will.
Somebody is now going to make a cartoon of Trump in front of his with
Yeah.
his big belly and his little tiny mushroom with a robe on, like dancing in front of a mirror at Mar-a-Lago. Crying. So, oh my God. And he doesn't even have to tuck because there's nothing to tuck,
Right.
according to Stormy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. The
So-
public humiliation is so glorious, and he's so desperate that he's actually considering J.D. Vance as a potential
Yeah.
VP pick.
Oh, yeah.
Because what could be a better look than two compromised white traitors standing next to each other?
Yeah.
What could be better for the Republican Party? Seriously. Two Putin puppets instead of one. Awesome. Because they can't be Nikki Haley. And Elise Stefanik isn't pretty enough, and neither is Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Kristi Noem is out because she won't stop murdering animals, and we're never
Right.
going to let you forget about it, Kristi. It doesn't matter. Do you see her? She was on Fox, and Stuart Varney, who's Greg Gutfield, maybe a step down from Greg Gutfield,
Right.
like as far as like
Yeah.
accountability and hanging in there with Trump and all of that. When you're
Right.
losing Stuart Varney, he's like, you lied about this, and she's like, will you just stop talking about this already? Like, why are and it's the interviewer's job to elicit truthful responses from their subjects. Literally,
Right.
That's what an interview is for. You're there to tell the truth so that you can maybe keep going in your career. I don't know why they go on TV anymore, but what I do know is that she's killed her career. She's done. Her career is in the gravel pit with cricket and the goats and the horses. And that she included the part where her daughter came home and said, Mommy, where's cricket? What the fuck is wrong with you? You goddamn
Right.
sadist. And they already lived on a farm, so she couldn't lie and say she sent cricket to live on a farm. So, I mean, the fact that she's okay with telling, and then she wanted to blame it on her ghostwriter, which you can't do that because you narrated your own audio.
Yes, you did the audiobook. For fuck's sake.
You did that. You lied about Kim Jong-un, and now there's a story about how she allegedly canceled a meeting with Emmanuel
With
Macron
Macron?
that she was that never was scheduled. What?
Yeah.
I am so tired of these ghost-written Republican crap books that do nothing but spread more propaganda. There's
Right.
nothing truthful. All of these trees die. Nobody really buys them. Absolutely nobody reads them. And then the RNC buys them up in bulk to falsely inflate the sales and push them up the bestseller list. And then they end up in gift bags. And then they end up on bookshelves collecting dust next to the unread John Grisham and James Patterson books. So, or they end up in a Costco bin at 80% off. Why not buy something that someone actually wrote themselves, like my rock and roll love story, The Sound of Settling, available now at TaraDublinRocks.com and Powell's.com. So I'm just
Which
really
is which is
tired.
even the bigger bragging rights because Powell's just fucking rocks. When we come to Portland for the show, we're going to we're going to go to Powell. Yeah,
We're going to Powell's. And by the way,
I'm going to bring a bunch of people and we're going to buy them out of whatever stock that they have. Let's just be abundantly clear.
because right now half the stock on the shelves is gone, and they have to order more from the warehouse to come in
good.
restock. So
That's not a
which
bad thing.
We love seeing that. But the point is that anytime you see a Republican put out a book, it's basically another way for the GOP to launder money. And they're just using reputable publishing houses as money laundering services like Simon & Schuster and HarperCollins. But then there are
Right.
also these imprints like Cornerstone and Don Jr.'s winning team press, which actually is located in Canada. It's located in Canada, not the United States of America.
That socialist paradise.
So, if you're reading a book by a Republican, thank you so much for continuing to support the downfall of the Americans, of America. Because basically every good thing that exists, Republicans are trying to dismantle. We talked about this last Monday, how Republicans destroy what Democrats deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Testimony. And Hal and I are old enough to remember where one felony charge was enough to end somebody's political career, as was yelling, we're going to take over in this state and this state.
Yeah!
Going on a boat with your mistress. Remember Gary Hart?
Mm-hmm.
Canceled Gary Hart as soon as we found out he was a cheating piece of shit. We also canceled John Edwards as soon as we found out what a piece of shit he was. How is Donald Trump anybody's choice for anything? Seriously, how does the GOP continue to put him up as their main guy when there's nothing redeeming about him and he does nothing to shine a positive light on the party? What does he tell the world about what it is to be a Republican? It means to back an adjudicated rapist who was caught on tape committing election fraud. Everybody in the party is fine with that. That's what the world is seeing. As they are seeing him sitting in court every day. And these wonderful court sketches that you have up there, making him look like he's molding in front of the sketch artist in real time.
That's amazing.
That's a great. Can we blow that up a little bit so you can see the decline, the sagging cheekbone, the jaw? Just, is he sleeping again? Is he falling asleep during the testimony, which is a great look in front of a jury? You would think that someone who's so concerned about his public image would manage, who would stick toothpicks in his eyes to keep them awake, but he's too busy watching Silence of the Lamb on Stars or something at 4:00 in the morning. I guarantee that's why he was talking about that movie. He was watching it as he was like dozing off, right?
Or somebody else was.
On.
Right.
Here's the thing. I think, first of all, we know Melania doesn't sleep with him. So he's in his sad bedroom alone. I bet he keeps the TV on 24/7 because he's a lonely guy. Lonely guy keeping the TV on for company. And so he's flipping. Silence of the Lamb is on. Let's put that on. And he's like nodding off. And that's the last thing in his addled brain before he goes out to Wildwood. Right? So, and he's one of those guys, like the last thing someone said stays in his ear.
He'll just repeat it, right?
Exactly. So if somebody said to him, because he's on the Jersey Shore, what if somebody said to him, hey, after this, we're going to go get some water ice, or we're going to go get a snack, or we're going to go get a corn dog.
Hot dog.
He would have been talking about corn dogs and water ice, or he would have been talking about elephant ears, like you mentioned before, cotton candy. The fact that he was with the backdrop of like a carnival behind it with the roller coaster and all the rides and everything. He could not have looked more like a carnival barker going, hey, step right up, folks. Come see what we got behind the curtain. Yeah. Come see. Right. No.
My favorite is this dude.
Cohen.
I don't know who the fuck that is who's just like...
Is that supposed to be Cohen?
No, I think that Cohen, in the center, who looks like a dad in The Rescuers from, in an old Disney cartoon. But like, here's Trump, who seems to be dozing off, and his attorney is slapping his forehead as they read the thing out loud. I guess is what we're supposed to be seeing. Yeah. And then
wait in front of a jury. That's literally the bare minimum you have to do in court. Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut.
I think this is the whole, like, I'm listening.
Silence of the Lamb.
Silence of the Lamb. Betty by Bo's time. And this looks like the closest thing to a real, like, they posted the drawings because they just broke for lunch about 20 minutes ago.
Pew, pew. Pew,
right.
pew.
Their lunch, this is the lunch. Yeah, this is currently the lunch hour. There you go. Yeah.
All right, so what we know is that Donald Trump can't refute anything that Cohen testifies against because of the gag order. So at the end of the day, when he comes out to do his invisible accordion dog and pony show, he'll talk
Yeah.
about how we can't talk about it. And then he'll talk about how it's a witch hunt and blah, 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 blah. And he'll bring out all of his ungreatest hits because he can't say anything new.
Well, it's weird because sometimes he comes out and he says stuff during the break. Like very rarely, actually. Very rarely does he come out during the lunch break and say stuff. Hold on.
He's got to finish his Happy Meal.
Right.
They bring him a Happy Meal to eat between rounds so that he can get fortified and so he can mainline some Diet Coke before he has to go back in.
Right.
Because he can't get them every 10 minutes from Walt Nauta while he's sitting there at the table, which is why he's nodding up. And by the way, it's not cold in there. Lawrence O'Donnell has sat in that courtroom several times and reported that it's perfectly comfortable in that courtroom. But you know when you feel cold? When you have dementia and you're sundowning and you're near death. Then you're freezing all the time. Well,
like grandmothers. My grandmother was like, it would be a sunny day, and she's like, put on a jacket. You're making me cold. That's what it seems like to everyone.
There's this old Saturday Night Live sketch that they did forever and ever ago, where it was like an MTV beach party with the Kennedys, and like I'm talking about it was and Jan Hooks was Rose Kennedy, and they put her in a wheelchair, like all wizened with a blanket on her, and they're like, Rose, how are you enjoying the beach party? And she's like, I'm cold. So that's all I think of when he complains about it being cold. Some like old, bitter, mean, sundowning, freezing, addled. I don't know where the fuck I am, but I'm cold. How are you cold when you're sitting in a pile of your own dumpy dump, and you've got the padded suit jacket? That's your natural. Your natural insulation is happening for you right here. How are you cold?
Well, I think the question. A lot of people have said he's either on Ozempic or he's just not eating because he's miserable, because he's deflating a little bit. He's not puffy fat like he was.
Happens.
Yeah.
And again, you'll see older people as they get closer to death, they drop weight fast.
Yeah.
Because, their metabolism is given up and they're not eating and they're not sleeping, or they're sleeping all the time and they're not eating. He's just molting and deteriorating in real time, and you've got a handful of months until the election. It'll be too late to replace him once they convict him in this trial. And it almost does. I mean, we're all disappointed in the Florida stolen documents case. We don't know when that trial is going to begin, and we don't know when Jack Smith is going to try. But he's going to be convicted. He's going to lose this trial, which is what you were playing earlier. He was already saying this trial is rigged, just like the election is rigged. He's already setting himself up to lose because he knows he's going to lose. So he's already warning his base, I'm going to lose this. And when I do lose this, I expect you to show up and tear this place down like we tried and failed on January 6th. So anyone who's still remaining loyal to him, we're here to translate from Trump to English for you anytime you need it. But basically, he's telling you ahead of time, he already knows he's going to lose because he knows he's fucking guilty.
Yeah.
When people are put under oath and are testifying about the same thing and saying the same things, and he's the only one saying something different, maybe he's the one lying to you kids. I don't know. Think about that for a second. Because if he had the truth on his side, he wouldn't be sitting in court.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line, right? If he actually had the truth, if he actually hadn't committed any crimes, if it was really all of these people against him with no proof and nothing that could hold water, would he be sitting there? No. He'd be out there campaigning. All of this is, like you said, he did this to himself. Let's all remember, I'll remember that no one made him cheat on his wives. No one made him call Brad Raffensperger. Nobody made him make Michael Cohen pay anybody any hush money. Well, nobody made him commit election fraud or steal money from charities or all of the other things. No one made him rape Eugene Carroll. He did all of these things. There are a couple of things.
Hold on. Let me see if I can switch over to this so I can show you this. There are a couple. One of the best things I think that came out, one of the biggest pieces of actual news. So there's always going to be, issues with, stuff that's been said about this that we're all aware of, that's working its way into the news. Some of it which may be, genuine news that stays consistently true, or obfuscations the Trump team made. And the greatest example is this bullshit story that goes around that Donald Trump had a falling out with Jeffrey Epstein over the fact that he was trying to poach girls from Mar-a-Lago, which is not at all
that's
true.
not why.
I
Always
and I
real
pointed
estate.
that out, and I will continue to point that out because it drives me fucking crazy. But it's a zombie lie that sticks around. One of the other ones is that, and I think a lot of people, when we didn't like Michael Cohen very much, were willing to believe that this was sort of like Cohen just like protecting himself when he recorded Trump's, the conversation with Trump, right? Well, it turns out
It was smart to record Trump.
Well,
so
what he was testifying, right? What he was testifying about specifically was, when they asked him about it, like, why did you record this? He said essentially that it was because, and I was trying to find the quote from it today, but that he was going to play this recording for David Pecker because Trump rips off so many people, even his close friends, that his own fucker, like, that were helping him with this, were starting to. He's like, I can't afford this. We can't afford to pay for these big stories, and you're taking out a loan to pay us. Like, Pecker knew this, so he's like, Trump's never going to pay us back. That's not going to happen. So I can't keep doing this. And he got really nervy because the closer he got to the election, the more valuable the stories in that fucking safe behind David Pecker's desk became. So there was this desperation. No, the money's coming and all this stuff. So he recorded Trump agreeing to pay him, the cash part, or pay him a check, or all this kind of shit. All that stuff. He recorded him so he could play it for David Pecker and go, specifically, like, he's going to pay you. He's told me already. He's engaged in this. I'm not just telling you this.
Right.
Right?
But
And
there's also...
Yeah.
It's the ability to be able to use Trump's words against him if you need to.
Right.
And Michael Cohen was savvy enough, even though he was still in the employ of this guy, he knew who Trump was already.
Yes.
He had watched him go back on all kinds of deals, and he knew his behavior. And he knew that people in Trump's orbit didn't always trust what he said. And that's why he had to record it for David Pecker, but that's also why Brad Raffensperger recorded him. Because he knew if a call is coming in from Trump, you don't record it, you're going to have a he said, and everyone's going to believe, and his cult is going to believe him. So if you have him on tape saying the opposite of what he claims he said, at least the recording is what is going to hold up in court, and not a hearsay situation. This is what he told me. I mean, what Cohen was told verbally does matter, but the fact that he has stuff in writing makes it even more compelling.
Right.
And the fact that he has a canceled check, and the check is dated, so that the check was written when Trump was already in the White House. These are things that matter. Having a paper trail matters, because when you have someone who is a pathological liar for his entire life and has a track record of turning his back on anybody who doesn't do exactly what he says, doesn't show blanket loyalty forever, regardless of how they're treated, eventually, Michael Cohen was telling Pecker, this is what I know now, but in the back of Michael Cohen's mind is, someday he's going to try to fuck us.
Yep.
And he won't be able to.
How do you? Yeah.
So,
and that's why he's got a litany of his former cabinet officials and other folks. Everybody who works with him. It was amazing to me how quickly people went from Trump supporter to biased against him simply because they were either around him long enough, more than a few days at a time, or they saw the evidence against him. Once they cleared this threshold, they became immediately untrustworthy. And there was this huge fucking panic attack around Trump world. Anytime somebody started going, like the minute anybody in the cabinet started questioning, even at the slightest, what Trump was saying, because they had seen they'd been in a skiff, they'd seen the evidence, or they had actually, were listening to the impeachment trial, or they were fucking present in the White House during January 6th. All of them were like, no. Real quick, that seems, you can't, and all of his attorneys who eventually turned on him specifically.
And his own VP.
Yes.
Really. His own VP. Say what you want about Mike Pence, and you can say a lot of things about Mike Pence. His own VP turned against him. If what they did in the White House the first time around was valid and something that Mike Pence was proud of, Mike Pence would be with him again. But he's not. He's not just not standing with him. He's not voting for him. And he has publicly said he's not supporting him. So say what you want, but when somebody who was right there that whole time and saw everything that up close won't support him, that should give you pause. Cult, not a cult. There has to be something that, through all of that fog that you've created around Trump to justify his action, that makes you go, huh?
Right.
Really? Now, I've seen tweets from people who have said Trump could do anything and they won't abandon him. They don't care if he's a rapist. They don't care if he's a criminal. They don't care what he says. They don't care what he does. They don't care what you dig up on him. I've seen people say the most terrible. I don't care if Trump is a rapist. I will still vote for him. Those people are lost. They're lost. And we really shouldn't even waste any energy. And once again, I'll put this out there. If you put out there a pro-Biden tweet or an anti-Trump tweet and somebody immediately attacks you, don't respond. That's what they want. They want that's why you're going to see, like this week, especially with Michael Cohen on the stand, we're probably going to see a lot of old MAGA tropes coming back. You know, like Fang Fang was trending yesterday. How scared are you? Fang Fang and Hunter Biden's laptop and Ashley Biden and all of that stuff was making the rounds again over the weekend because everyone is so scared of Michael Cohen's true testimony. And your smoke screens aren't working anymore. And all of your 2016 tactics are not going to work in 2024. I mean, maybe the MSM hasn't learned very much from the experience, but we have. And we know what's going on and we can see it. And we're here to hopefully make the MSM on all of this accurate. Like, I expect Rachel Maddow tonight to do something about his sundowning on the Jersey Shore yesterday and the silence of the lamb and the everything that he does that is fully abnormal is what the MSM should be covering and not what he says. I don't know why. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened at the New Jersey rally specifically was him inviting Lawrence Taylor on stage.
So Lawrence Taylor is this year's Herschel Walker.
I'll go you one step further than that even. So for those of you who don't know, besides the fact that Trump is technically a sex offender at this point, he invited another registered sex offender, Lawrence Taylor, to speak at his rally on Saturday. Taylor and Otis Anderson, who he referred to as OJ, which is super fucking weird anyways.
Great.
Yeah, they're my golfing buddies too, he said. So obviously they hang. It's not even, first of all, how many sports figures, if you're at the top of your game in the world and you own golf courses and all this stuff, how many of your fucking how many possible buddies could you have that you golf with all across the country? You know what I mean? There's a lot of fucking people in this country. There's a lot of well-known people. There's a lot of, former athletes, current athletes, celebrities and whatnot that golf and all that shit. If you were a good guy and you had access to the greatest golf courses in the world, you'd make fucking phone calls every time you rolled into town. Hey, the former president's coming in. If you were Jimmy Carter or fucking Reagan or somebody that people gave a shit about to some degree, even across aisles or whatever, or Bush Jr., people go golfing with that motherfucker, right? And if he owned the course and you're like, hey, he's coming in, if you guys want to come and golf with him, and there'd be a fucking line around the block of well-known people that would just do it, no matter what. So the idea that this motherfucker has such slim pickings that he only seems to be able to golf with the most fucked up people in the world is very odd. But he goes, okay, so Taylor, the guy he brought on stage with him in New Jersey, said Taylor pleaded guilty to lesser charges in 2011 rape case in order to avoid jail time. He admitted to misdemeanor charges of sexual misconduct and patronizing a prostitute who was 16 years old at the time.
Wow, friends. Only the best people.
The best people. 16. She was fucking 16, God damn it. And it's not, again, we're not even talking about the dude who got the handy in the massage parlor near Mar-a-Lago or whatever. Grown man, grown woman. Yeah, right, yeah. We're not even talking, that's not even in the fucking ballpark of this. This guy was allowed to plead down to sexual misconduct and patronizing a prostitute to avoid jail time because she was a child. And yeah, Robert Kraft.
He got to do that is because he was a football player, because he was famous. Right? If he was
And
an unfamous black man, he never would have even gotten
never
that
fucking
opportunity to
happened.
be
Right.
in prison for
Exactly.
life.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
let's also remember,
right.
people who want to claim that Donald Trump is not a racist because black people are at his rally. Donald Trump only cares about famous black people.
Right.
Because any black person who's famous is good for a photo op. And Trump only cares about the visual. Donnie Photo Op is one of my many nicknames for him. Herschel Walker turned out to be a bad one. Herschel Walker,
and by the way,
another sexual predator.
People in the chat room are pointing out very astutely that she's not a prostitute because she's underage. You cannot prostitute yourself when you are under 18 years old.
Sold into sex trafficking.
She is a sex trafficking victim. Anybody underage is a sex trafficking victim. If you cannot consent to sex as an adult, then you are not a prostitute. And the idea that he was able to downplay it to patronizing a prostitute is insult on top of injury. Right. So,
birds of
by the
a
way,
feather, right? They all like them young in that group.
And then, does anybody? Let's go back, shall we, to Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Remember the gathering of Rudy Giuliani and a bunch of assholes who were going to pretend that between a crematorium and a porn store, this landscaping company that had Four Seasons, that it was totally on purpose that they did this out, in the parking lot behind Four Seasons.
Pathetic.
So pathetic. You know what was even more pathetic? And I don't know why I have to keep reminding people of this. Rudy Giuliani, the first person he brought up at Four Seasons to speak was a perennial New Jersey politician, this guy who's constantly just a political gadfly, who's always running for office. This guy, Daryl Michael Brooks. He was the first person to speak at Four Seasons Total Landscaping, okay? First fucking there's like 6 people. They're all in. First, we would like to introduce this fellow. Okay, what did this guy do? He pled guilty. He was convicted in the 1990s of sexual assault, lewdness, and endangering the welfare of a minor because he was charged with exposing himself to 2 girls aged 7 and 11 years old.
Guys, come on.
Right.
How many more sex offenders do you have to have in a cult before you decide that it's not a good cult for you to be in?
Right.
I'm just asking questions now because where's the line for people?
I got news for you.
Abusing teenage girls, raping teenage girls is still fine?
Yeah.
You guys? Really? I'm like,
what did we hear? Do you think Pizzagate, at this point, I'm beginning to think that Pizzagate was literally a PSYOP smokescreen to cover for all this shit that was eventually going to come out, and not just
me at all
in the past, but active. That Mike Flynn and his dipshit QAnon fellows released this whole Pizzagate story and built up this entire child predator cabal bullshit as a front story to head off at the past, the Epstein issues that they knew they would fucking have, and this constant, and it's one thing if it was in the past, and they're like, oh, fuck, we used to hang out with these dudes, and they all got busted for this. There have been so many, Trump campaign people and GOP, chairmen that have been, and volunteers, and one of the dudes who worked in his media group, his digital media group, that have been busted for child porn and the like.
And Matt Gates.
Right. It's almost like the entire crowd is going, we need to put out this whole, this Pizzagate story will be so outlandish and will draw so much attention. And it did. I mean, it literally is one of the things that hooked Marjorie Taylor Greene as a person, right? That she was... It's
Russian propaganda 101. It's accuse your enemy of that of which you were guilty. Every accusation is a confession.
Such an extreme level that when the reality is less cartoonish, which Pizzagate was, that they would have a basement and Comet ping pong, and that they did blood sacrifices and they drank adrenochrome and all that stuff, is so fucking nuts that when you back down to, it's just, all he did was have sex with a 16-year-old girl who was sold to him, by comparison, at least he's not drinking adrenochrome out of their spines, right? And I just don't know why that's not more of a story as well, because it's so consistent, because it's not. Yeah, it's almost like
hard.
Yeah.
Well, when you're and that's another one of their tactics, by the way, is to consistently flood us with so much information that there are things that you forget that they're guilty of because of the newest thing. So it's really easy to forget things like Mike Flynn recited the QAnon pledge over the Pledge of Allegiance because he's a fucking Russian operative. All of these tactics are basic Russian propaganda. Repeat a lie enough times and people will accept it as fact. Donald Trump has been doing that for, like the last 9 years, and that's how we got here. So it's, if anyone is like, I don't understand because you and I live here on Earth One in a normal place, and we don't tolerate crimes against children and others. So how many more stories do you need to hear about this person who's in the Trump universe being popped for sex trafficking minors or raping a teenager or anything that's outside of your vision of man, woman, penis, vagina, sex? Because that's what you're all subjugated into believing. It's all missionary for procreation, but sex isn't supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy yourself, and you're all repressed, and then you explode in a bad way. Where? I still would love to know, where is your line? Where does it become untenable for you? When does it become, I can no longer, I would rather not vote than vote for this person who encourages his base to fuck teenagers? Who was that guy that was out there wanting to make sure that there wasn't a bill against child marriage because he had a history of, liking them young? That they want to lower the age of consent, that they want to remove child labor laws. Like, you want to go back to the, the early prairie years when you could marry a 12-year-old. It's disgusting. This is, they're fascinated. They're obsessed with teenage girls. And it's gross.
It's fucking hideous. The weird part for me is sort of the blind spot about the news coverage on it. Because it's, again, we kind of jokingly talk about how many scandals Trump has had that would wreck and destroy any other campaign, and granted, in the modern society with so much media, that you can answer charges or obfuscate much easier than you ever could previous. If there had been 24-hour news during Nixon, during Watergate, he never probably would have left office. Right, because there would have been enough kind of blurring of the lines around them that they could have gotten, people would have not known what to believe at a certain point, right? And then by the time All the President's Men was written, it would have been too late. It would have been a book, talking about, Iran-Contra years later or some shit like that, Reagan's involvement and those kind of things. There is a...
don't do what they do.
Right.
And to creating the false equivalence conversation around it as a distraction from what they're doing. We've known that all along, but it's taken the MSM a really long time to catch on. And I think a big moment was really learning about Kristi Noem and her lying in her book so blatantly that the MSM was like, well, you're lying about this. Oh, here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. So maybe now finally, because I think we're hearing less about Joe Biden's age and more about like the poll that you were talking about right before I came on. People are talking about that as more of a distraction. And again, I've never been polled. I have never been polled one time in my life. Right. And it's a very small focus group, and it does not represent America at large. And
they were wrong last time, drastically wrong last time.
Who's paying for these polls? Right. And it also doesn't matter because what matters is votes. And that voting comes down to basic math. How many people show up? Do more people show up for you or for your opponent? And last time, more people showed up for Joe Biden. That's just facts and that's just math. That's woke math that you hate because it's real and it's true. And the thing that they can't, the thing that's frustrating for me is, again, prior to 2016, we were able to hold our politicians accountable without it disrupting a full election cycle or without it dominating our daily lives, that we weren't consumed with it. And the things that and I really, really wish that there was a way to wrench our focus back to where it belongs, which is in the facts. and the proof and the behaviors and your track record and what you can put up. And again, we still need that meme where we have Biden's accomplishments next to Donald Trump's felony charges in a row like this, so that you see them side by side, and there's no comparing them. And that's the other thing that's frustrating. It's like Joe Biden does all of these things and nobody gives him credit, and Donald Trump goes bleh, and everybody talks about him for 5 days.
There's also agreed. I would say there is also an aspect of, and this is where the question about whether or not the New York Times and others are pro Biden or anti Biden or pro Trump or anti Trump or just in it for the horse race. There's a huge debate to be there. Ultimately, though, these kind of poll conversations benefit Democrats because they drive people to the polls, especially the Rovember aspect of it, that if women, especially as voters, and the men that love them, show up, I agree with a lot of the assessments that Trump is going to lose by 10 million votes this time. It's going to be fucking brutal because it's not just going to be
election of women.
Yeah.
It's the this year. It's all about the female rage. Thank you, Taylor Swift. It is all about female rage, and we have plenty to rage against because every single day we hear about something else that the Republicans want to take away from us. They want to control more things about us. Katie Britt wants to introduce a national registry for pregnant women. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck you again. We'll talk about that when you give us a national registry of gun owners. Okay? Let us know where our gun owners are living. How long have they had those guns? Are they licensed to have those guns? Are they trained in using those guns? Have they ever used those guns against something with a heartbeat? That's the kind of registry, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about micromanaging someone's daily life. That's what the government wants to be. That's not what the government is supposed to be doing. Katie, why don't you go off with Kristi and start your own cult in the middle of the desert somewhere? Go create a new Branch Davidian compound paradise in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you can kill each other. That's ultimately because you're a fucking death cult. What turns them on is death. And then being able to control. It's about population control of women, and therefore controlling the population, control the way we think, eat, work, live, and die. That's what they are trying to do. That's not okay. I don't want to live in a dictatorship. If I did, I would be living in North Korea. I'd go move there. That's what I wanted if I didn't want to be able to think for myself and move about freely in the world, if I was that subjugated. That's not what America was founded on, and that's not where we should be headed as a country. We still are supposed to be the freest country on the planet, where you're allowed to worship. If you want to worship this glass of fizzy water, create a religion around seltzer and SodaStream. Go right ahead. No one's going to stop you because this country was founded by people. Well, we already know that they took away freedoms from other people in the pursuit of their own freedoms. This is not a Christian nation. We all don't think as one. We are all individuals, and we are allowed to express those individual
different
freedoms.
I'm not.
We're all different. And that's it's a melting pot, and that's what makes us beautiful. But at the bottom line is, you should not vote for someone who wants to take away your livelihood. Who wants to take away your Social Security.
I want to point
any of that stuff.
Yeah, I want to point something out. There are a couple of things I want to show folks that just in the comparison, of Biden v. Trump kind of stuff in terms of just like being grown-ups. And so there's a story.
Exactly. One's an adult, one's a child.
This is a live feed. This is New York Times. Trump stays calm in court. His emails tell a different story. At the end of a tense court day in his criminal trial in Manhattan, former President Donald Trump on Thursday sent an email to his followers with a dramatic subject line: "I stormed out of court." The reality was, yeah, right, exactly. The reality was far more muted. When the day ended, he calmly left the courtroom. As is typical of many criminal defendants, he strode towards reporters. "Thank you for being here. I'm done. It's election interference, lies, blah, blah, blah." Talking about being gagged. And then he sent his message later, is full of, it's basically like he yelled or something. Like, I ran out there and I yelled at the cameras and I told him who's boss, when he really just stood there and read some shit and he was fucking miserable. All right. So this is that. Yeah, this is just sort of in the follow-up. And the main thing that they're talking about is in court today is the fact that Cohen recorded himself because Pecker was moving away and was not trusting Trump to actually go through with paying it. And the idea was, well, why did you have to put it off? Why didn't you just bring money with you? Because they wanted to pay them back after the fucking trial. After the campaign. This is the point. The whole thing was, we want to wait. We want to pay back after the election's over. We can't do it right now, so we had to buy time. That's what the recording was for, and it's a great thing to point out. Now, I would like to point out, if I may, according to Donald Trump and his ilk, Joe Biden is ruining the economy, even though we have somewhere between 76 and 80% life satisfaction with the people in the swing states that were being polled, but somehow they're miserable at the same thing. They have 80% life satisfaction, and yet they think Biden's doing a bad job. It's so fucking weird. So
the disconnect is ridiculous.
Let me show you something. This is the dollar index. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The dollar is worth more
than a dollar.
Thanks,
Joe.
I was watching as I am wont to do on occasion, an old Mort Saul special from 1991 where he was talking about Bush Sr. because I was going back over like what people were talking about in terms of Reagan and the running gags, and because the comparison I make with Mort Saul, who was fucking fantastic, and what we do in the Sexy Liberal Tour is that he even joked about how some of his jokes about Nixon you could plug into Reagan, you could plug into Bush, and you just keep moving forward. But there's so much new nutty
evergreen
shit. Yeah, that there's very little evergreen comedy in our modern world because it changes so fucking fast. Like, I could prep a set Friday night for the Sexy Liberal show, and something could happen Friday evening that's what everybody's talking about, and I've only got a 20 22 minute set depending on our flexibility at the venue because we have a meet and greet and we got a bigger show and the Q&A afterwards. So trying to shoehorn all that shit in is really difficult, and so I'm printing new stuff as we go. And he was able to coast on this. And he was talking about how one of the big jokes was there was an armed car robbery in New York City. And the robbers got away with $4 million, the street value of which is $126,000. That was the joke, basically. And the idea is that under Reagan Bush, the economy, both we'd had we'd had a recession, we'd had close to, the tipping point of a depression, we'd had a stock market crash and all kinds of shit. But the joke was that, and I think you remember this as Gen Xers, remember the whole joke about the dollar being worth a quarter? That at some point the dollar was going to be worth a quarter. And you could only, because people would mark like overall inflation, the cost of doing and having more stuff with the value of the dollar going down. And, and when you really look at that, you have to look at like the yen, which was, from 91 to 95, this incredible thing where now it's like, everything is just an operative of thousands for buying something, a sandwich that was 6 yen is 6,000 yen. A TV set that was 60 yen, or 600 yen is now 600,000 yuan. And that was yen, and that's the whole bit, right? Okay. And so the idea was there was an expectation, I don't know why, I think it was mostly pump and dump market manipulation at the time, looking back, but that the dollar was going to be worth less than than a dollar always, 70 cents, whatever happened to the Canadian loonie essentially would happen to the US dollar in spades. And then last summer, all we fucking heard from Glenn Beck and that crowd, right, was, it's going to be the petrodollar's over and the US dollar. Yep, we're headed for a recession and the dollar's over. This is where the dollar
Fed was like, actually, no.
Yeah. This is where the dollar is in the fourth year of Biden's presidency after a fucking pandemic that gutted the entire economy. $22 trillion of wiped out, $22 trillion of wiped out economic value in the U.S. economy, plugged by a $6 trillion, infusion by the Fed, is not a situation where you get too many dollars in circulation and therefore drive the price down.
And what was the dollar value in 2019?
In 2019, well, let's see if we get
or even 2020, because Trump keeps talking about you were better off 4 years ago, but we absolutely were not. 4 years ago, he was saying things like COVID is going to disappear like a miracle and inject bleach in yourself, and I don't take any responsibility for this. So this time, 4 years ago, was the dollar doing this well? Was the economy doing this well? No. So you can't. You can lie all you want, but the numbers will prove you wrong.
Right.
You know,
Joe
this
Biden,
thing
only goes back 3 years, but here's what it was when Biden's basically coming in.
Office.
Yeah, this is May 9th, 2021. When he took office, it was 90 cents.
Well, there it is. There it is.
And this is, by the way, this is the inflation marker. This is where the dollar was at $1.12 because, you know, because we were buying everything up and everybody wanted dollars because all the rest of the currencies around the world were crashing, which is more to do with the range that we've seen than almost everything else is the collapse of other currencies.
Miraculous economic turnaround from the Biden administration. Look at that by itself. Look at the historic jobs reports every single month. Every single month, he's breaking records with the jobs report. It may not break the record of the previous month, but it breaks the record from the month from the previous year. Every single month, they are putting up 6 figures in new job numbers. So even that, and inflation is still low. It's hovering. I think the last time I checked, it was hovering around 3.4%. It may be a little bit different, and it fluctuates, but it is staying right around that number because Democrats do good things for your economy. Democrats are doing amazing things. Look at the CHIPS Act. Look at the Infrastructure Act. Look at what he's doing with student loans, and look what and just the jobs report. The jobs report and inflation. Go look at those two things, and then you compare them to where Trump was. You were not better off 4 years ago. You were just allowed to tweet a lot of bullshit because no one was holding anybody accountable, but we are now. And that's the other thing. Trump is really upset that everybody is not letting him lie all of a sudden when they used to. They used to let him lie all the time because he used to go blah, 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 and used to freak everybody out, but we're all hip to him now. And so we're not buying it. The numbers, always go back to the numbers because, you know, and that's one of the reasons why Republicans cry about woke math because it doesn't make them look good.
Well, let's take a look at this real quick. Remember how Trump is saying we're at 50% inflation? That's his big thing. If you add them all up and they're not including everything and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here's the cumulative price change from 2018 to 2024. That's the cumulative is 24% in all things. All right. Average inflation rate during that time is 3.69%. Since 2018, including the fucking pandemic. Again, all right. Now let's look at the converted amount. There's $1.24, price difference 24 cents. The CPI in 2018 was 251,230. In 2024, it's 312,332. The inflation in 2018 was 2.49%. It was not the magical 2% that everybody shoots for. It was higher than need be. Right. Inflation in 2024 is 3.4. That is still okay. So $1 in 2018 is worth $1.24 in 24. Okay. So cumulative being 24.32. That's all in, everything. Okay. Certainly not 50% by any measure. Also, the availability of goods, tech always being a deflationary element of the economy. Tech always gets cheaper, faster, better, all that kind of stuff. The only thing we have in this state is we don't have enough home building that's happening, which needs to happen through tax breaks on a local level. The president has very little effect on that. All he could do, the one way Trump tried to do it was tax breaks on real estate speculation and investment, which usually just means taking something that already exists and turning it into something more expensive that you can milk for more money, as opposed to turning an old hotel into an apartment building and that kind of shit, right? Which is what you need to do in a lot of downtowns in the country, for example.
Especially like Portland.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Still, we're at, this is the current right here. Here's the spike of inflation coming out of, this is the country coming back. This is what I would call vaccine inflation right here. And then here is 2024. There's 2022, there's 2023. Look at the drop off there. Look at 2024. We're headed towards 2018 numbers. And 2.49 was where it was in 2018. My prediction is that we're gonna see 2.5 before the election. Probably August, September.
I believe that too. I believe that
right.
too.
And the weird part is the buying power of the dollar is still going to be up. It's like this is 2018 adjusted for inflation. Over the course of it, this is the dollar and what you could buy with it. But the problem is the availability of things, supply chains being what they are. That
Right.
changes the value of the dollar. It has nothing to do with how many dollars are in circulation. So, anyways, I
Also,
just want to throw that in.
And just as a reminder, it's a really bad look that your candidate is sitting in court. Just a reminder. Just a reminder,
Yeah.
because you can look at all of these numbers and you can pull stats from here and stats from there and a poll from here and pull this out of your ass and grab this and grab that. Bottom line is, where is your candidate and where is ours? Our candidate can go anywhere he wants and campaign wherever he wants, whenever he wants. But he doesn't have to go to court because he's not a fucking criminal. He wasn't arrested 4 times last year. Joe Biden's not out on bail. He doesn't have a prisoner number. You know, like these things.
Simple
These are numbers
things
that matter to me. You know, it's
Agreed.
the things like that. You know, that he's a good and decent human being. You know, and you can't say that about Donald Trump. He's not good. He's not decent. He's barely human. But that, just look at who shows up for Trump and who shows up for Joe Biden. We had Mark Hamill in the Oval Office. The force is with Joe Biden. Who shows up for Donald Trump at court? Hillbilly effigy J.D. Vance, who's an opportunistic fake mugget. And prior to running for Senate, he hated Donald Trump. He tweeted all kinds of anti-Trump shit. And as soon as he found out he couldn't win a Republican seat in Ohio without MAGA votes, he immediately went fake MAGA. He is the fakest, most opportunistic, cravenly ambitious person who's not named Kristi Noem. So, again, if anyone is able to take a step back and let go of the fact that they've really been enjoying being a dick for the sake of being a dick with no accountability, if that's all you got, So
the other thing too is that Trump does not have a single person he can run that will add to his campaign or bring in other voters that hasn't previously shit talked him. Because it
car that's pulled up in front of Mar-a-Lago full of potential VP picks is pathetic. Tim Scott, shut up. He's not going to choose Tim Scott at all. He is never going to choose Tim Scott, and that's not happening. And now people are saying, well, maybe Nikki Haley can come back and she keeps beating him in primaries, or she's not even on the ballot because she keeps getting written in. Nikki Haley's not going to come back to you.
She had 100,000 plus, like 120,000 plus votes in Indiana. Like, that is not a good sign. Never has been, never will be. And 30%, I was looking at, as we dug into that before you came on the show this morning, I dug into the New York Times poll. 30% of the voters that they say potentially might give, Trump his addition are people who aren't sure they're going to vote at all. Which is the same thing that happens every time they have a fucked up poll, because they poll people who aren't going to show and then they don't show, and that's how it works. And Trump is still talking them out of doing it.
I don't understand not voting.
I don't either. But let me show you a couple of things on our way out the door. So a couple of things that are just happening in the world of, while Trump is in court bitching about how cold it is and saying Michael Cohen, who lied on his behalf, is a liar because he lied on his behalf. Biden is out doing some actual work. Intel stock drops after Biden administration bans some sales to China's Huawei. They've come back up afterwards because they'll find a workaround and they'll sell them the cheaper, more low-end stuff. Biden looks to thwart surge of Chinese imports. This is the New York Times. The president has proposed new barriers to Chinese electric vehicles, steel, and other goods in an attempt to protect his manufacturing agenda. This is Jim Tankersley article, pretty much on the money. Meanwhile, at the New York Times, on the other side of their wall, China rules the green economy. Here's why that's a problem for Biden. From Samini Sengupta. I'm
so tired of here's why this is a problem for Joe Biden take.
Especially when your example is a picture of pallets of unsold EVs that no one will ever own, no one will ever drive, no one will ever survive a crash in. They That's what the whole tariff argument from Biden is about, is that they're overproducing just to dump stuff onto the market to undermine the electric car market in Europe and in the United States. They're just making them to make them, because everybody's like, if you're planning, you're a car company and you're planning the next 5 years of how many you're going to build, and you're like, shit, we've got a market for the volume and the cost, and they're going to dump tons of cars in there and we'll never be able to compete with them. So we should probably just not make that transition. That's the goal. Same thing they're doing with solar panels. Same thing they're doing with steel, is you just undercut the price so much that it's economically, impossible for them to ever get, for anybody to make an investment. And it's the same thing the Russians and the Saudis did to our natural gas in the United States. It is indeed illegal mass recess, but it doesn't stop them from doing it all over the rest of the world. And again, it's like Russian control of elements of the oil market. If they could sell it to the people who are desperately in need of it on the down low under the table, they're certainly not buying it above the table. They're not buying it legitimately. Right. That's what this shit is. This is fucking ridiculous. None of these cars are going anywhere.
It makes absolutely no sense.
It's crazy. And the fact that the article, the title of this article, China rules the green economy.
That's
here's
why
why
it's
a problem
bad for Biden.
Fuck
this. It's just
get the fuck out of here. The world's.
I don't want to.
And again,
another headline that says this is bad for Biden unless something's actually bad. Like, stop trying to connect everything that is going on in the world. Again, I'll remind you, the American president is not a magician's daddy who can snap his fingers and fix all of the world's ills. That's not what he's here for. It's not his fault that Netanyahu is behaving the way he is. Not Biden's fault. Not Biden's fault. Of anything Trump is responsible for is not Biden's fault. It's you can't keep dumping things on Democrats when we didn't do it, right? And I mean, it's really easy. Yeah, is the president ultimately responsible for everything that happens in his country under his leadership while he's during? There are things you can blame the president for, but there are things that have absolutely nothing to do with it.
I will straight up say it is fucking racist as shit to say here's why that's a problem for the Biden administration and not here's why that's a problem for America. Because it's not about him. It's not. It would be true no matter who's in office. They're going to continue to do this. And so saying it's a problem for the Biden administration, on the one hand, absolutely says, the Republicans don't give a rat fuck about any of this stuff. That just write that off. The fact that they're saying this is a problem for the Biden administration means they're admitting in a whole cloth, which should be the article. Future Trump administration will not care if China dumps green tech onto the country because they have no interest in making it at all. That's an actual story. It's true. It's materially, and it's a sign of something you can talk about, because it's you're effectively saying Trump has let go of the reins of the future of technology and energy in the world, and we'll just, he's just assuming it's going to be dumped, and they're really going to focus, back to diesel, back to gas cars, because that's macho, and everybody's, everybody wants a vehicle that they could fucking moonlight at a monster truck rally in all these districts, and so that's all they care about. Which is a way bigger story than what's the back and forth between trade negotiations with how much will Biden get before sanctions cost the American consumer, this and that. It's an important story, but it doesn't warrant a title like China rules the green economy. Here's why that's a problem for Biden. It's fucking crazy.
It's a clickbait headline.
It is. It absolutely is. That's where the New York Times is currently.
And people won't read it because most of the New York Times is behind a paywall now anyway. So most people.
Right. Whoops. Sorry. Where did I go? There you are. Sorry. Lost you.
Portland absorbed me. See the headline without reading the article and assume, oh, good, there's another thing Biden fucked up.
Right.
No. And that's another part of the problem, and that's another part of just technology and relying on social media and the internet to get all of your information instead of actually doing real research. But, so nobody who supports Donald Trump will read that article and find out the truth. And nobody who supports Joe Biden will probably read that article and find out the truth because it's behind a paywall and nobody wants to pay the New York Times because they keep doing
Right.
all of this bullshit. But I mean, what can, the only thing that we can do is continue to share truthful stories about Joe Biden and
Yep.
hope that other people share them too and
Mm-hmm.
continue to tell the truth because we have so much good truth to tell about Joe Biden, and supporters will just keep twisting themselves into conspiracy pretzels to avoid any truth about Donald Trump while believing every lie about Joe Biden. So,
Well, the other thing too is there's got to be a conversation, and I want to remind everybody: Tara Dublin rocks, and of course, she's got her book, "The Sound of Settling." There it is, pick it up today.
We're almost 650 copies.
There you go.
I've sold
All right,
600.
we're gonna hit
Between
1,000.
Powell's and Amazon, 650. We got to keep going. Keep going.
There you go.
Never
And
stop. You
is
never
it
give up.
available on Kindle and the like?
Available on Kindle. The TaraDublinRocks.com just redirects you to Amazon, so you can get it on paperback there or on Kindle. You can also now request it at your local indie bookstores and your local library.
Nice.
Yes.
Excellent.
Reading is
So-
fundamental, kids.
It is. It is. Unlike the Republicans, which put the dumb in
They would
fundamental.
probably want to ban this from the library because there's sex in it. Plus, the puppy in this book lives. There is
Yeah,
a
that's
black
the problem.
lab puppy
That is a problem.
introduced at some point in this book, and he doesn't get murdered.
Mhm.
Puppy lives to the end. Spoiler alert! Don't buy Kristi Noem's book. Buy mine because the puppy lives. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's that.
I will take that under advisement. Somebody was just how you need to compose an article about the stories and submit them to mainstream media outlets. It's not a bad idea at some point.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Or a Substack. Even if you put it on your Substack, and you don't have a Substack, do you? You should
I
get a
do not.
Substack.
Okay.
Have a Substack so that you can put all of this information in one place together, and then you can get people to subscribe to your Substack.
Gotcha.
Which
All
you
right.
should subscribe
Yeah.
to mine, taradublin.substack.com. Thank
There you go. See, well done.
All right.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
so much, and I will see you next
I
week.
love you, Hal.
Yes,
Love you
and
guys.
love you too.
Stay
and we will
well.
be. I'm looking forward to the Portland show. It's going to be so exciting. Nerd Halen is playing.
And we have planning and plotting to do.
Yeah.
There's going to be karaoke and joy.
Oh,
and-
it's gonna be
and
so
all
fun.
all kinds of Portlandy things happening. By the way, if you happen to be in Portland tonight, Low Bar Corral is doing our whole Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young show at Polaris
Nice.
Hall. Do come and sing in the harmony with us.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much.
Love you guys. See you next week.
Bye. See ya. There she goes, ladies and gentlemen. Tara Dublin, who indeed does rock. I got to. Okay, so sound wise, we managed to limp our way through it. It should be all set up now. A couple of show notes. Wednesday, I'm going to have to reschedule Phil because I am flying that day. I'm going to San Antonio, Texas for the Humane Society's Animal Expo. Think of it as my anti-Kristi Noem performance of the year. So I'm headed there, and I'll be back on Thursday. So Thursday show will be fine, and tomorrow is the Jam. So may or may not be a show. I got to drive in the morning, so I will check in with everybody. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be burning myself down this week. And then I believe, if my schedule is correct, hold on one second, I don't want to talk out of my keister. Sexy Liberal. Yeah, where's our tour dates? Come on now. Come on. There we go. Yeah, the 18th. So yeah, next this coming this Saturday. Am I right? Yeah, this Saturday. Hold on, I'm trying to scroll something. Valerie Plame is going to be our special guest, which is really fucking cool. Also, shows on Friday should be, because Albuquerque's not that far away, should be right, should be right in their regular times. Yeah. No, Phil's Arizona. Phil is usually on Wednesdays. Arizona Sunflower. I'm just gonna have to reschedule him for Wednesday. Probably maybe bring him in on Thursday afternoon, or maybe we'll just do Saturday. It depends on what's going on there. I know he's got a lot going on too because he's launching On the Edge. So maybe On the Edge will launch and you guys will have that to watch instead. But we will work it out. This weekend, Albuquerque at the Revel Entertainment Center. And our special guest is Valerie Plame on our Q&A portion of the show. Very exciting. And totally forgot about the Plame stuff. Oh, we'll remind you. Oh, believe me. So anyways, much love, and I will see you guys later for the afternoon show. I've got to run off and go get acupuncture because I can't do it tomorrow because I'm traveling, and my throat is sore from the weekend, and I've still got to sing the final countdown tomorrow, and so that's why the lozenges during today's show. I'm sorry if it's bothering you, but it's just a fact, and that's how things are going to work. Anyways, adore you. Talk to you later. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. And hold on. What is this button?